On the morning of February 24, 2022, the forces of the Airborne Troops of the Russian Federation landed at Antonov airfield, 2 kilometers from Gostomel and 25 kilometers from Kiev. Mi-24 attack helicopters accompanied the Mi-8, which transported paratroopers. When crossing the Dnieper, the armed forces of Ukraine opened heavy anti-aircraft fire on a group of Russian military. The reconnaissance and attack helicopters of the Ka-52 Alligator called fire on themselves to cover the group with the landing party. The helicopters line up in 2 links of 4 vehicles on strike at enemy positions. Russian pilots suppressed all identified locations of the armed forces of Ukraine in 8 minutes. The Russian Army's combat helicopters have a modern system for countering enemy missiles. It automatically detects the launch of missiles with an infrared homing or with a radar and determines which protection method to use. Either heat traps or a laser protection system that can burn out the matrix of the homing head. The assault aircraft, which caused the fire on itself, allowed the paratroopers to land safely at the airfield. The stations that could detect them were suppressed in advance, disabled and destroyed. The military built a circular defense and began to clean up the territory. The soldiers were ordered not to touch civilian objects and civilians. About 200 Russian helicopters were involved in the operation. The success of the landing was ensured by the suppression of the air defense system. During the seizure of the airfield, more than 200 nationalists from the special units of Ukraine were killed. The success of this operation was largely due to its suddenness. No one expected that such a number of helicopters could deliver troops so far inland, almost to the very capital of Ukraine. The importance of this airfield cannot be overestimated. A suburb of Kiev, 25 kilometers north of the city center. Thanks to the 3.5-kilometre long runway, it is capable of receiving any kind of cars. This key facility for the Ukrainian capital was defended by the elite 4th Brigade of Operational Assignment, named after the hero of Ukraine Sergeant Mikhalchuk, which outnumbered the Russian troops 6 times. They had armored vehicles, artillery, and the help of British Special Forces. The paratroopers landed with limited forces at the airfield, occupied key points for the defense of the facility, and took the fight in anticipation of reinforcements. There is nowhere to hide here. This made it difficult to complete the task. Everyone is in an open area. They are entrenched in the administrative buildings of their field. For more than a day, the paratroopers held out under shelling and heavy artillery. Aircraft flew, bombs were dropped, there were massive attacks from heavy small arms. The enemy's forces were outnumbered at times. Despite this, the troops of the Russian Federation coped, won, and completed the main task. The airfield in Gostomel was captured solely for the purpose of imitating it and instilling confidence in the enemy that decisive events would take place here. All 24 hours there was a constant game with death. Death preyed on each of them. In these conditions, they had to not only withstand, they had to keep the airfield alive. Not everyone can do this. The guys are on the side of good. For more than a day, the confrontation of 200 people against a criminal, heavily armed horde with artillery is nothing but a victory for the strength of the spirit of a Russian warrior. The Gostomel landing became an example of how a Russian person can fight and win in conditions in which no one would have won.